Hi, I'm Andre Roberts. I'm a college student at Ohio State, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about my journey with alopecia today. When I was first diagnosed with alopecia, I was 8 years old, and my initial reaction was a little bit of confusion, scared, and I was obviously kind of wondering why that it had happened to me, as many 8-year-olds do when something that doesn't go their way happens to them. It's kind of a natural reaction, I feel like. So I was obviously confused would be the word that I use to like most describe how I was feeling. After I was diagnosed, there were definitely a few things that people said, mostly unintentional, that upset me. Just people asking like why I was bald, as little kids do when they have a question they ask, and just hearing people say, "Why are you bald? Why do you look like that?" Like obviously now I realize they probably didn't mean any harm; they were just curious. But back then, like that had a negative effect on me. And in public, I never really had upsetting interactions with strangers, I'd say, but there were definitely some uncomfortable moments where people would make assumptions about me being sick or having cancer or things like that, when in reality it was just alopecia. For a while, I would say that I had some feelings of being self-conscious or being like scared or trying to hide my alopecia. I wouldn't say I was ever really depressed because of it, but there were definitely times when I would cover up my head and it was the last thing that I wanted to talk about. My attitude towards having alopecia has changed a lot since I was first diagnosed. Now, being 19, having alopecia for the majority of my life, uh, it's come to be a part of my not personality, a part of my identity. So it's something that is a part of me now. I wouldn't change it, I don't think. Since I was first diagnosed, my attitude towards having alopecia has changed a lot. Now I would say it's part of my identity. People know me as the bald kid. I almost know myself as the bald kid, and I'm not upset about that. Through a great support system in my soccer teammates, my family, and my friends, they've really taught me to embrace having alopecia because it makes you different, and that's not always a bad thing. One of the things that was most important about getting people to be comfortable with me and realizing that I'm just a normal kid without hair was educating them about alopecia. Whether that be classmates, just talking to them at the beginning of the school year in front of the class, telling them that I have alopecia. It's nothing more, nothing less. Teachers, the same thing. My friends, like whenever I would develop a new friendship, it would come up at some point, and I would just explain to them what it was. So educating the people that I became close with was something that was really important to me. If I had to give advice to someone who is struggling with alopecia and it becoming a part of them, I would advise them to be as open about it as possible from an early age, because eventually people will realize that at the end of the day, it's just hair. You're still the same person you were before you had it as you are now. And if you embrace it as just that, then it really doesn't have that big of a change on your life, in my opinion. Whenever I would talk to the doctor, they would ask about treatments and things like that, but they would never really ask about like how I was doing mentally or my quality of life and the impact that alopecia had on that. But they would talk to me about if I wanted to do treatments, if I was wearing hats at school, things like that. I was really fortunate to have an amazing family support system who let me do whatever I wanted to do. Um, at first, we tried treatment for about 3 weeks, and then I decided that I didn't want to do it anymore, and my family stuck with that choice all the way. So they really emphasized that it was happening to me, so it was my choice on the treatment plans moving forward, if there were any, if I wanted to do any. And then I'm not really too sure if they needed any other sources of support for themselves, because I kind of took my diagnosis relatively well, and they made sure that I realized at the end of the day that in my family, like autoimmune diseases are in our genes, and I was actually lucky to have one that didn't actually affect my health like some of my cousins.